up on a KOIN 6 investigation. A few months ago, we exposed a racy teen sex conference for Oregon students sponsored by the state.
And now we have new audio recordings and finally a comment from the Department of Education, although KOIN 6 investigator Carla Castaño literally had to chase someone down to get it.
You see the film of the oral sex scene.
Students are learning about the interactive adult porn site Virtual Femme.
The pornographers have filmed different women, and you go onto the website, you can choose your woman.
This audio was recorded by an attendee at last year's conference during keynote speaker Corey Silverberg's presentation.
What's amazing about this, though, is that in fact, in many ways, my partner is feeling my touch.
Silverberg's educational presentation is over an hour long and focuses on sex and technology.
This person is engaging in pony play,
experimenting with fetishes by creating avatars.
This avatar that looks human is the kind of gear that you can go into a leather store and buy. So it's like these basically giant gloves that make you have hooves.
Rob Saxton with the Oregon Department of Education sent a letter to school superintendents that addressed the conference. It reads, "We have also reviewed the content delivered by the presenters at the conference and believe their information was appropriate. There have been reports this was not the case, but we found that the reports made about the presentation of inappropriate materials were based on events that did not actually take place." After one superintendent gave me a copy of the letter, I sent numerous emails to Saxton's office asking for clarification about his statement. But Saxton and his staff declined multiple interview requests. So we caught up with him at the Capitol.
You sent out a letter saying that the speakers were appropriate at the Oregon Adolescent Sexuality Conference. I wanted to ask you about that. Did you think that taking kids to cyber sex websites where they were pretending to be ponies was appropriate?
I don't believe that there was anyone who took kids to cyber sex websites in the story that you're talking about.
Well, we do have audio of that.
I think that you have some audio that doesn't show that. I think what you do have is that we have a presenter who was saying, here are some negative websites that you wouldn't want your child to go to.
I took what Saxton had to say to a student who attended last year's conference in Seaside.
It had nothing to do with oh, this is maybe not a good idea, don't do it. It was all about here's exactly how to do it, and here's some websites that you can go to, and here's the different kinds of sex toys you can use. There was nothing about warning people that this was a bad idea or maybe not good for minors. It was all about how to do it. And there's no confusing that fact.
Even though Saxton found nothing wrong with the content of the presentations, he did determine the pamphlets were not appropriate for school-age students. The material encourages cyber and phone sex and suggests things like bathe together, shave each other, wear each other's underwear, role play, or striptease. Some state lawmakers are now calling for an investigation into why the Oregon Department of Education and Oregon Health Authority would back this type of conference for minors.
There are other state senators, along with myself, who believe that they need to testify before the Education and the Healthcare Committee, both of which I serve on, and to explain themselves about some of the pornographic websites and material that they were showing kids as young as 11.
Clatsop County Sheriff Tom Bergen is expressing concern about the conference. In an email sent to KOIN 6, Sheriff Bergen writes, the Sheriff's Office will continue to monitor the activity surrounding the sex conference in Seaside to make sure no illegal activity occurs. Hopefully, after Oregonians viewed the story on KOIN, they now have a better sense of what was truly being taught, and they simply will not send their children to this state-sponsored debacle. Saxton tells me after the investigation into the conference, there are going to be some changes if the Department of Education is going to be involved.
If we're going to continue to participate in the planning, we need to make sure that any resources they're going to hand out, we have a right to review before they get handed out to anybody at the conference if they can be handed out to children. We have the right to review anyone who would present at the conference and make sure that we think that it's appropriate. And so we've put those stipulations if we're going to participate in the planning, and at this point in time, I'm not sure if we are or not.
I also tried to get in touch with the conference's keynote speaker, Corey Silverberg. He's not returned my calls or emails either. We've posted a link to the audio from his presentation, which appears to be unedited. I listened to the entire clip, and I've never heard any warning like Saxton was talking about. But you can listen for yourself by going to KOIN.com. Jeff and Ann?